Welcome, everyone. And I just want to, so happy to be here with you today for the Marketing on Purpose session hosted by the United Way, British Columbia. Before we kick off this session, I just want to take some time to acknowledge the Indigenous people who call this place home, the unceded and ancestral territory of those from coast to coast to coast. So today we're welcoming quite a large group of people here to talk about purpose in business. United Way British Columbia's essence is strengthening vital connections to create healthy, caring, and inclusive communities. A big part of that is living that essence is collaborating with businesses to help them articulate their social purpose and also do good in this community. We're excited to welcome a great group of panelists. And with that, Coro, I send it over to you.
All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm very excited to be here with all of you. I'm the United Way's Social Purpose Advisor, and we really do want to welcome the Canadian social purpose community, doing a deep dive into the role of marketing in a social purpose company and the way it is different and how it creates value. The United Way defines a social purpose business as a company whose reason for being is to create a better world, whose purpose is to serve society, not to serve shareholders. A social purpose business unlocks all its assets and influence to create solutions to society's challenges. And someone from the United Way will be dropping a link to this definition in the chat. You might want to grab it and explore more deeply. So let's see who's here. I think your chat buttons are all working. If you're a company and your company has a social purpose, please drop the name of your company and its social purpose into the chat. And let's just get a sense as to some of the social purpose companies who are here today, including our three panelists, of course. I know they'll be dropping their social purpose into the chat right away. If you're interested in learning more about developing or implementing a social purpose for your company, there's going to be a link to the United Way social purpose programs, and please reach out if you'd like to learn more. Just grab that link and check them out. So let's just see, Novex exists to deliver regenerative change. And so that's just one that I saw right away. So I think we have 6 or 7 going in there. MCIS Language Solutions, we exist to uphold the human right to be informed, heard, and understood. So we're really seeing the proliferation of social purpose in Canada, and these are just some great examples. So let me introduce you to our panelists, and perhaps they can join me on the stage here now. We have Gurpreet Jhaj. She's the Vice President of Marketing at Vancity. Welcome. Peter Weeme, the Chief Social Purpose Officer and VP Player Experience at BCLC. And you may note that we have a CEO on our panel too, Tony Scott. He's the CEO of Proclaim Group. And welcome to you, Tony, as well. To our audience, please put your questions in the chat. You know how it goes, questions in the chat, and about 10 minutes remaining of the session near the end, we will take a look at your questions and we'll ask the panelists of them. So please go ahead. I see some more social purposes coming in. Maybe we've got about 18 in there already. That's awesome. So to panelists then, if you could, Gurpreet, starting with you, if you could introduce your company and its social purpose. What is Vancity's social purpose? When did you adopt it, and why? Why did you adopt it? If you can kick us off.
Yeah, I'll try and keep it succinct. But Vancity was founded in 1946, and it was founded right out of the gate with a social purpose at the heart of our identity. And really, that was to extend financial services to the people who were underserved by bigger banks at the time, and to really promote financial health and inclusion in our communities. And so the purpose hasn't changed a lot since then, but over the years, we've really tried to refresh how we express that in our vision, our brand, our value statements, and I'd say most importantly, in the way that, the work that we're doing. And so today that we express that through a vision of being a transformed economy that protects the earth and guarantees equity for all. And the brand expression that you see out there right now is Vancity, a financial force for change. And along with our members, that is a movement that we are trying to instill. And then I'd say underpinning it all, and I think we're going to talk about this a bit more as we go, is that really our impact-focused business model is what really matters. And so, you know, we look at it from a triple bottom line perspective. So profit is just as important as the impact that we create on people, as well as the planet. And so I think in a nutshell, that would reflect our purpose today.
So Vancity was founded with a social purpose, and it has evolved it over time with the times, making it relevant, but not straying too far from its founding concept in the 1940s. Very good. All right, Peter, how about you?
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, so BCLC was founded in 1985. Our social purpose is to generate win-wins for the greater good. We adopted that a year and a half ago. We spent about a year talking to stakeholders and others in order to determine what that social purpose would be. And we did so because we want to be in alignment with contemporary expectations around corporate contribution towards social issues, and there are many, and environmental issues, and there are many that the world needs to address. Our board made that decision, and we've been working on that across the enterprise since then to drive this whole ethos into the organization, from our employee experience right through to marketing and a variety of other things that I'll talk about as today unfolds.
Awesome. So we have a credit union, we have a Crown, and now we would say we have a private company, Tony.
Yeah, I'm as usual, I'm the odd man out. My name is Tony Scott. I'm the CEO of the Platinum Proclaim and the Proclaim Group. Our social purpose is that Platinum Proclaim exists to help others in need by developing people, caring for the planet, building communities, and restoring homes. You'll note that the restoring homes comes last, and most people would think that's the primary part of it. And I think putting our other purposes first makes a big difference. And so we started with that. We started our journey here in 2022. When I heard at a CEO group, I heard somebody speaking at the group, and I heard what they were saying, and I really connected with it. I was like, oh my God, there's a name for what we are. And I had never heard about it before. So when I heard it, I was like, this is who we are. And I was able to explore that and refine it. And it's been a fantastic journey. And as always, I'm always super excited to speak to everybody about it.
So 2 companies have adopted their purpose recently, in part it demonstrates that there is this trend in business underway now, where businesses are leaders, such as represented here, are starting to rethink what is the role of their business in society. And Tony went through the United Way Social Purpose Institute programs, and Peter's gone through one as well, getting some assistance to help define and shape what that might be. So excellent to have all of you here. I think the other introductory perspective that might be useful to understand is that Vancity, and tell me if I've got this right, Gurpreet, is B2B, business to business, and also B2C, business to consumer. BCLC is business to consumer, B2C, and Tony's business is B2B. So we have these sort of different kind of nuances, and you're going to hear that a little bit when they tell their marketing story. And so it might be useful to understand their perspective. Also, you'll find out pretty quickly that both Vancity and BCLC have very large marketing departments. So the challenge for all of us would be to make that relevant for businesses that have smaller marketing groups, or perhaps an individual. And Tony has a much smaller group, and he is quick to say that as CEO, he's on the marketing team. And you'll hear why when he starts to share his story. And in fact, Tony, I am, for that reason, going to have you start first. If you could then share your social purpose marketing story or journey. So what we're interested to know here is, what marketing strategies and tactics are you using to differentiate your company and your products, let's say, from non-social purpose competitors? So what are you doing to differentiate in the marketplace through marketing, and what are some examples from your company?
Yeah, our company, I think it'd start by saying it sometimes is a little bit hard at first to figure out how to market. But I would also say that if you're joining as a marketing tactic, that's not really the right way to start. For us, we knew who we were, and this helped define who we were and how we were going to present ourselves to the rest of the world and the business community. And in that, we really found a way that connected with us. So what we saw was in our market, we work a lot with insurance companies. And so we looked at all the statements being made by insurance companies about who they were and how they were, going to save the world and making grand things about reducing their footprint and getting net zero by 2035. And so we really thought, well, those are people that we should be talking to. And so identifying who those people are that have a shared vision or a shared desire to build something different in the world was the first part of our journey. In identifying them, we then had to sort through and go, well, how many of those are for real? And how many are actually doing those things? And what we found right away again was that, well, the answer is not very many. A lot of people talk about it. A lot of people would advertise it. And so we had to go in and say, well, if we're going to deal with them, how do we tell them that we're different or do that? And really what they needed was help. So for us, we found a way to just say, we understand that you're trying to do this. How can we help? And if you're trying to reduce your footprint, we understand your business enough to say, you're going to do that right through supply chain. Well, we're the supply chain and we're already doing these things. So we can help you do that. And then we also built great relationships by helping other companies in our same business, which again, counterintuitive to some people, but for us, that was just a natural. We wanted to elevate our business, our whole industry. And so that fit with the goals of the insurance companies. And so we lived this purpose all the time. And so when we made those choices, they're in line with, what we do. We're developing people, which is our own staff, caring for the planet, fit perfectly with all the things that were happening in the world. And in our world, if you have a fire in your house or a flood, most of that stuff is going to the dump. We're a huge contributor to the landfill. So we were able to take those things on, and we were the only ones recycling. So we taught all these companies how to recycle and how to do it. And we're building things across Canada to help have places to take it. So that was really how we got in there. It's finding people with a shared purpose and that they want to achieve things, and we help them get it done. And that builds a really strong relationship. So for us, during the time when we had all the atmospheric rivers and flooding was occurring, and then we had freezing, our industry was going crazy. And during that time, we actually started a large recycling center in the Lower Mainland, because looking at all that stuff being thrown away was awful, mountains of debris. And so we just took that on, and we went forward, and we partnered with one insurance company who happens to be the second biggest in Canada. And they said, can you get this going right now? And we said, yeah, sure, we'll do it. And a week later, we had a huge recycling center going. So sometimes it's just doing, right? If you do it, you live out your purpose and you make decisions around your purpose, it puts you in a place to be in a very close relationship with somebody. But that's what we did. We helped them achieve their goal. And in that, we built our relationship. And now, of course, we regularly do work with them.
Awesome. So basically, a key takeaway you'd have to say is you market your purpose by doing your purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you're living your purpose. That's your marketing. And then you're doing the R&D to find out aligned customers, and then engaging with them to help them fulfill their purpose all together. Okay, so there's some very profound takeaways relevant to any size organization, small or large marketing department. Okay, so Peter, I think you have the largest marketing department, so I'm going to pivot over to you then, and let's hear about your social purpose marketing story and what marketing strategies are you using. So I'm not going to say tactics anymore. It's not about tactics, according to Tony. What are you using to differentiate your company and products?
So, we are an entertainment company, and we're embedding the social purpose from a strategy perspective into all parts of the business, but also, of course, into our marketing approach. And marketing just can't put lipstick on a pig, quite frankly. So this comes back to what you're talking about, Tony, in terms of there has to be substance behind what you're doing. A few of the strategies are really moving from monologue to dialogue, and that involves a lot of deep listening. And as an organization, we're constantly listening and bringing input into the organization. And that means putting aside a more arrogant approach that you know everything better. We don't want to just sell at people. We want to actually listen to them, connect with their values. And part of what we need to do as marketers is affect people's behaviors, not their values, because values are intensely personal, but what we want is certain behaviors. And part of the way that we look at what we're doing is we're trying to build a movement around our social purpose. We want people to feel that they're part of generating win-wins for the greater good. And we are doing that also internally by taking more of a cross-enterprise approach. We call it Big M marketing, where we're bringing together a variety of parts of the business: communication, social media, marketing, CRM and loyalty, our stakeholder engagement. All of those parts have to work together. And we're also trying to raise the bar by giving a lot of knowledge away. So we recently generated a paper around how marketing looks different in a social purpose company. We're workshopping that ourselves to see what we need to do to improve, but we also want to inspire others, and we're doing that within our industry. We just had the World Lottery Summit here last week, and we talked about some of the things that we're doing from a marketing perspective. So really having some industry influence is another way that you can sort of supercharge your marketing also. And then really also moving from sales to co-creation. So we're not just trying to emphasize our features and benefits anymore. This goes back to that idea of deep listening, kind of trying to look at our stakeholders as being really critical. A good social purpose company really does excel at stakeholder engagement, and we're trying to bring stakeholders of all kinds in to co-create products and to also vet some of the messaging. Finally, we're almost there to update our brand DNA and our value proposition and make sure that it's being reflected in the way that we are engaging both strategically. And I know you didn't really want us to focus on tactics, so I won't talk about them, but tactically as well. And that all needs to align. And then you get sort of this beautiful confluence of change.
Well, a takeaway I'm picking up, much like Tony was saying, market by living your purpose. Basically, your marketing approach is by mobilizing right across your company in everything you do to bring your social purpose to life right across your company and in everything you do. So that's sort of plus one on Tony's thought there. And just a couple of other call outs. This idea of building a customer movement around your purpose, which maybe is a long-term aspiration, but how do your customers join and collaborate with you on your purpose? You talk about co-creating your approach on your purpose, and that is an expression and extension of your marketing. And also industry leadership. And Tony spoke to this as well. And what we find is that businesses that have a social purpose want to change their industry. And so we're hearing from both of you that that too is an extension of your marketing. It's sort of part of brand building. To be out there working to support, not always competing with your industry, but partnering with them as well. So these are some of the takeaways. And obviously to build your social purpose into your brand and value proposition. So that would go on anybody's checklist of things to do. Okay, Gurpreet, maybe everything's been said, maybe not. Let's find out what you've got to bring to the table here.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that's already been said. But I'd say, like, from a Vancity perspective, we're saying as a financial force for change that we believe that together with our members, that we're able to use the tools of finance to build a cleaner and fairer world. And so, in 2021, we launched this new brand expression, and we've brought that to life, I would say, not just through the brand work that we've done, but also, I think almost more importantly, through the innovations and products that we're putting out there, as well as the commitments that we're making and the impactful initiatives that follow that. And some examples of that would be, from a product lens, would be our Enviro Visa credit card suite, for example, where we're not only offering a credit card, which many people need, that has competitive rates, but we're amplifying the environmental action piece of that through every tap that a member is making. And so that really allows us to infuse our values into our products, and then that supports our members in taking actions in like a really straightforward, everyday kind of way. And also, you know, we're really trying to hold ourselves accountable, not just through a product lens, but also through commitments that we make. And so we've made a commitment, which includes achieving net zero across our mortgage and loan portfolio by 2040. And these commitments were the first of their kind in a financial institution in Canada. And so I would say that with the help of our Zero is Everything campaign video, we had the intention of making very clear what our intentions are and what we're doing to help power and combat the climate crisis. And so through these and our revitalized marketing strategies, we've really tried to make it possible for our members and our target audience to feel a part of the experience, and we support them in making an impact in their everyday lives. And so whether it's a product or a campaign post or an ad, we're really inviting our members to join a movement to help build that clean and fair world that we, you know, is part of our purpose. And our vision.
So, you know, as Peter said, creating a movement around your brand, but going further than that, creating a movement around your purpose, around your vision. So we have this idea then, particularly for the retail customers or individual consumers. And you're also teasing out this idea related to that, helping your customers, Vancity calls them members everybody because they're a co-op, but helping your customers feel part of the experience. And then you're saying, if you put purpose in your products and your customers are buying your products, then they too can become a force for good.
Yes.
And so it's a way of engaging and mobilizing and enrolling your members, customers, to help you fulfill your purpose. And meanwhile, they bought some products, and that allows you to grow. Very good. Well, I think we pretty well said it all here. This will be a 23-minute webinar, and we can adjourn. And because I don't know if we're going to go any deeper, but let's give it a go. What else?
Try it.
Okay.
Try us. We'll go deeper.
All right, those were your opening remarks. Okay, so now I want to go into the differentiating different types of marketing per se. So how is social purpose marketing per se different from other types of marketing? And maybe I'll just sort of cycle back the opposite way and have you go first, Gurpreet, on that. Obviously, it ties to the first question, but we're really trying to tease out marketing now. And if you could share how they differ. And maybe we are repeating ourselves, but then we'll double down in our message. Gurpreet?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it's been said, as you said, but I would say social purpose marketing is really only different because it's rooted in social purpose. And so, you know, we're very often using the same tools and methodologies as any other marketer out there. But what we're using them to do is to bring a story of our purpose to life. And then when we look to build a movement around it, like we've talked about today, we're building it around something that really matters and has substance and is rooted to our core beliefs. And so we're not really just jumping on the latest fad or anything like that. It's really core to who we are and what we stand for. And I think that builds trust inherently with our members and generally with prospective customers. And I think in turn that drives growth and strength and loyalty overall. And I would say that's something that consumers are demanding more of from companies anyway. And so if you have that as part of what you're doing, I think that's the differentiator, not necessarily the tactics that you're using.
Awesome. Though if Peter and Tony have an idea of how tactics are different, then we can get a bit of a debate going here. So that would be fun. But I just want to point out what you're saying there. Your marketing is a reflection of your core beliefs. And thus you can build trust and loyalty. And that all in has got to be the main way by which social purpose companies can differentiate in their marketing. I think that's very profound, and I'm glad we kicked it off with that point. Peter, then, what would you add?
A couple things. I think it's really important that folks know that this is not just like you said, Gurpreet, it's not a flavor of the month kind of thing, and you're going to be held to a much higher standard, right? So there's an expression being more Catholic than the Pope, and to a certain degree, that's the case here, that if you are going to be a social purpose company and you're going to declare what you stand for and the kind of contribution you want to make, both your employees and all stakeholders are going to be watching it closely. So this is not, as Gurpreet was saying, something that's just a clever marketing campaign. This is really has to be profound. What's different here is the need for consistency and taking a long view. This is not something that you're just going to achieve in one campaign or a couple of campaigns. It really needs to be part of who you are and everything that you do. And, stakeholders and audiences will look for places where you're straying from what you say, who you say you are. And unfortunately, we live in a world where, that gotcha mentality is all over the place. And so this notion of authenticity really has to be a part of it. And I think also, looking at your audiences differently, their needs are different, their expectations are different. So digital also plays a large part of this approach. Having a broadcast message, sure, that can provide the overarching halo, but I think you really need to be relevant to more niche audiences and connect, as I said earlier. Although you're not trying to change values, you might use value segmentation in order to figure out how you want to communicate with different groups, because they're going to resonate with different messages. And so all of those things, I think, are really critical differences from classic marketing, which is not to throw shade on companies that are doing classic marketing, but it's different.
Mm-hmm. So you're highlighting, when Gurpreet says core to beliefs, you're highlighting the authenticity as well, which would be another way of reinforcing that. And also the marketing is more long-term. And that makes sense because the purpose is long-term. So
Exactly.
that's got to be essential. You have a long-term purpose, your marketing is going to be long-term, and you're trying to enroll, engage, and mobilize your customers to help you achieve your purpose ultimately. And so you have to have a long-term outlook. So it might look like campaigns and you will run campaigns, but it would be a campaign in aid of a longer term objective. Very interesting point. Okay, Tony, then what are your thoughts on this?
First off, I loved what you had to say, Peter. It really is important. You do kind of make yourself a bit of a target if you're not going to be 100% authentic. And the first people to figure it out will be your own staff. And if they don't buy into it, nothing works. So making sure that you really are, and sometimes that's really hard decisions. I think about COVID starting, and we had to decide how we were going to proceed. And in our statement, we say very clearly that we care about developing people. So do we really care? So we announced immediately upon reflecting on our social purpose, we announced that we were going to make sure that everybody in the company would get their paychecks, the exact same amounts, deposited into their bank as they always are. And in that way, we took care of our people. So living by your purpose, again, sort of is your marketing, but you have to be very authentic. And sometimes that means making a hard decision, but those are the ones that speak the loudest. So I encourage everybody to really spend a lot of time developing it so you can be that company and market it. So for us, most everything we do is developing a partnership. So joining different boards, different groups. For us, that we do recycling. So there's Zero Waste Council and different groups. There's sustainability. We have a large electric vehicle fleet that puts us into connection with a lot of other people. And so by doing that, we have a chief sustainability officer, we call him, and he goes around and I believe he's at one right now. But he's out talking to other people and joining. There really is a wave happening right now. So while it's not a trend, there's definitely a movement amongst people where they desire to have people that are caring more about what they're doing, caring more about the planet, caring more about not just being about money. I think back to I think it was my third meeting, I was invited to join in with United Way to help them update their purpose statement. And not surprising to those who know me, I got into an argument with the CFO of United Way. And he was talking about, talking to companies about how you could make money. And I said right away, I said, it's not, if that's what you start with, you've missed it, right? And then I would say the same to you. If that's what you're starting with, you've missed it. It's not about just making money. Money is a byproduct. And so living it out and enjoying it, that will come. The relationships will come. So if it's relationships, build the relationships by joining other like-minded companies, and it all comes together. Like-minded people, they don't have to be totally social purpose, but there's a ton of people out there who are running businesses, they're homeowners, they're potential clients. They are all engaging in this. Everybody cares. Well, not everybody, to be fair, but that's what people want to hear, and they want to do it. So then the only problem there is, how do you differentiate yourself from other companies? Greenwashing is everywhere. There's all these people making these crazy statements. I stand with this.
Oh, you're getting into the next question, Tony.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's pretty common for me. So I'll try to stay away from the next question, or going on a long tear. But I really think that you have to take a choice to work your community and develop it through that. And building those relationships will bring the people to you, and connecting with people who are like-minded, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah, so a couple things you're bringing up. Well, first I have to say, because Tamara Isaac here, who is the CFO of United Way BC, she's not the CFO you were speaking to. Everybody would have noticed right away you were referring to a man and not a woman. So Tamara is not captured in that remark. And as you can see, she kicked off our session here today, and she is really amongst, you know, the biggest champions of social purpose there is. So just say, can't speak to the other conversation you had, but things are definitely different here now. But just to pull out a couple points. So I was interested, you're referring to the community. You're almost thinking of your customers as your community, and you're trying to build a community with your customers. So basically your marketing is like community building, if you will. And I thought that was quite an interesting use of the term community. And also you're speaking about here joining different groups who are aligned to different aspects of your purpose. So that's part of quote unquote marketing, becoming a member of this or that association or nonprofit or whatnot to do the work of your purpose and then attract people to your company. So that's another route by which opportunities are created. Awesome. In fact, I have to speak to one exactly, because I think it was at the National Zero Waste Council that you had your chief sustainability officer there, and I introduced him to somebody at Guelph who he would never have met were he not at, might have been the mayor of Guelph, anyways, who he'd never have met if he were not at that event. And I think that that's leading to some business for your company as a result. But there you were at the National Zero Waste event. Gurpreet or Peter, any final comment on the differences here? Any other point you might want to make, even about tactics, perhaps, how social purpose differs, social purpose marketing differs from businesses that don't have a social purpose? Any final comment there?
No, I'm ready to move on.
Ready to move on. Let's move on. Okay. So we're now interested to hear what you think are critical success factors. So Peter, I'll start with you. What do you need to have in place to ensure success, and how do you avoid purpose washing?
I don't know that I have any opinions, Coro. I'm kidding. Okay, a couple of things. You know, number one, do not let this conversation take the monkey off your back around delivering a great customer experience, a great product at a great price with great quality, or whatever the drivers are of your particular category. So we're not talking about sacrificing that, because nobody buys on values alone. And so if you have a shitty product, or you don't deliver, or whatever the case may be, then you will lose customers. They will not just buy the values alone. So I think that is a critical success factor, that you maintain that. And if anything, as I said earlier, you're being judged by a higher standard. The second thing is, do not sacrifice creativity. If I see another hand holding a seedling with some kind of motherhood statement, I'm going to puke, quite frankly. So, I mean, your creative has to be top drawer. And there is a study, and I'll drop the link in here, that talks about how purpose brands actually have less effective, more derivative campaigns than non-purpose companies. So that's another really critical thing. And you have to focus on, you know, what you're good at, on your core competencies, and how you're solving some of those global challenges that we've talked about. Good data infrastructure is another thing. I mean, we all want that regardless of who you are as a marketer today, but it's really critical as a purpose-driven organization to warehouse your data, to understand how to use it, to mine it for insights, because it's been more critical than ever. And this has been said time and time and time again, but you have to have engaged employees who understand and believe in your social purpose. If it falls flat with them, it's going to fall flat with your marketing. So it's really critical that you educate your employees. We're still on that journey. We're not there yet. And I don't know that even Vancity or any other purpose-driven organization is there yet. You have a constant churn and turnover of employees. So you have to keep reinforcing this and keep making it part of the experience and why people value the organization. But if you neglect your employees and just assume it's going to be another seedling in hands with a derivative statement that's going to make the difference, then you're sadly mistaken.
All good points, and I can see by the chat, people are applauding greatly. One point I want to pull out here and highlight is this idea of engaging employees, and it hasn't yet been said, but I think we would agree that your employees are marketers too. And so there's all kinds of reasons for making sure your employees understand your purpose and can speak to its value proposition, et cetera, and they become an extension of your marketing. And it's also necessary that they can communicate your purpose to externals. Otherwise, you have a brand risk if they can't. So there's all kinds of reasons to make sure your employees are engaged. Gurpreet, how about you? What would you say are critical success factors?
Yeah, I would totally agree with what Peter said. It's, you have to have the right products. People are going to go and, do business with you or join your movement only if they can get primarily what they need from the service that you're providing, but they're more likely to choose you because you've got, greater values and are purpose driven. So I think 100% spot on that point. But in terms of measurement, key KPIs that we look at are obviously growth, because growth helps us from a cyclical perspective. The more that we grow, the more good that we can do in the community and support our overall purpose. So I think that's important. We measure brand health as one of the metrics. And through that, we also just ask our members, how they think that we're doing across some of the metrics that we, are important to us, particularly around purpose. So I'd say those are some of the things that we measure. I think you touched on how do you differentiate and avoid purpose washing as well. And again, I'd say be authentic and transparent and let your actions speak for themselves. And so I think that's pretty much what I have to say on that.
Yeah, so doubling down on Peter's points there, but also calling out the measurement side of it, being able to measure success.
Yeah. I'd also just comment on Peter's, I 100% agree that having good quality data is really important and trying to mine that. But that, whether you're a large organization or a small organization, you're not always going to have the perfect information. And so what I would say is use what you've got and try and glean the information and then start to fill in the gaps in as best a way that you can. And so, I think there's always ways to gain insights through lots of different sources.
100%.
Awesome. Okay, over to you, Tony. Final minute to you on this, Tony. And I just do want to let people know we're going to open it up for questions in about 5 or so minutes. So if you could, it would help me because there's lots of chat going on, which is awesome. Could you put question in front of your comment if you have one, or question or Q&A, and then I'll be able to find it. But I'm encouraging you to raise some questions now. Tony.
Yes, I love those all the comments there. It's making me laugh. If you see me smiling while I'm talking over here, it's some of those comments are quite funny. I think I also caught that you said purpose washing, and I love that term because I think when we talk about social purpose, there's a lot of what we call, I love the term purpose washing because we're up against that all the time as people are talking about it. So I think the key here is you just have to be it, right? Your purpose is something that you live out every single day. And if you live it out every day, you're going to come across as authentic. And if you're not doing that, then you're going to come across as not authentic. And you then technically are greenwashing or purpose washing, depending on what you're doing. So I would really encourage people to think to themselves and examine themselves and try to understand who you really are. And if you are, you have a great opportunity to expand that who you are and live it out in a more meaningful way. It just doesn't work if it's not who you are. You can't make this stuff up. It's got to be coming from you, and that you allow that to change you, and it actually improves your own life. I recycle way more at home. We take great care in our office to separate everything. These are great outcomes, and the more you do it, the more authentic you are, and the more that comes across in everything you do. And then you start making decisions around that. And sometimes it seems like you're going to spend some money or invest some money into something. And, you know, going to boards and different things, it takes your time. But you do it because you really care about the environment, or you do it because whatever your purpose is, you're doing it for those reasons. And in the end, that always works out, you know, and sometimes it's scary. But if you just walk in it, to do that, you have to understand yourself. And as a company, that is what a social purpose does. It allows you to examine yourself. It allows the whole company to examine itself and decide who you are. Take that part really seriously, because that will inform you and your decisions. If it's not authentic, you can't make your decisions from it. And it's not doing what it's there to do. It should guide you. It should help you make decisions every day, and especially the big ones. When you have a hard decision to make, and it might be a bit about whether you should spend or invest or send somebody to Victoria to be in a meeting for the weekend, like Jamie is right now. That's why he's not here. But if you invest in those things, you're living it out, and you just can't get around it. But it's a great walk. I walk differently. I walk with pride in what we're doing and what our company does. And the more our company knows and sees that, there's this great effect that goes to everybody in the company. They're proud of their company. When they go home, they hear people talking about them, and somebody says, "Oh, you work at that company that has all those electric vehicles." And you know, you guys are the guys doing all the recycling and teaching other people. They have pride.
You're agreeing with the other panelists on authenticity, but
Yes.
you're also bringing up a human element to it. I liked it when you said sometimes it's scary.
Yes.
But you would basically be saying the decisions you make every day is marketing also, and not embedding your purpose in your everyday decision is counter to your brand and to your messaging. So just a way of thinking of alignment, having embedding purpose in your decision making. I'm going to move to the last two questions now. The chat only has one question in. Oh, now we have two. My desire is only to ask of our panelists questions to do with purpose marketing. So Levins, your question isn't yet showing the purpose marketing element of it. So that's what I'm looking for, are questions to do with purpose marketing. So Peter, I'm going to make you work hard. I'm going to have you answer two questions back to back.
Sure.
Give us one lesson learned to market a social purpose company and one business benefit from your social purpose.
One lesson learned is really around continuing to invest in the marketing team's understanding of the space. And we brought on board many marketers that prior to becoming a social purpose company, and this is new for them. So ensuring that they understand what we mean, what needs to change, and so on has been a really critical part. And that's partially why we adopted that paper. And now we've turned it into a working group internally that's looking at how to implement that. In terms of the benefit, was that the second one?
Yeah, what's a benefit to your business from your social purpose? One benefit.
I would say that it really is elevating the nature of our relationships with our stakeholders, because they're super interested in what we're doing. They're inspired by what they're doing, and it's taking those relationships to, I hate to use a trite term, but taking it to a new level. And they're looking to us as an organization that can support them in a way that it's moved beyond the transaction to something that's higher level than that.
Awesome. Gurpreet, where you can see this is sort of a rapid fire moment.
Yeah.
What's a lesson learned, and then what's a business benefit?
Yeah. So lessons learned is obviously be authentic, walk the talk. And I would say really the proof is in the pudding. So your products, services, how you come across and how you do your business all really are the most important things. And your marketing is what amplifies and enhances those impactful actions. So I'd say that's a key learning that I hope everyone takes away from this. And in terms of benefits that we're seeing from social purpose, obviously, first and foremost, the benefits to our members and our communities are really very important to us. And through those actions, I think people want to come and do business with us and become members of our organization. And so I would say that, our impact focus has actually helped us grow and become profitable, and then in turn has allowed us to invest more in our communities. So, it's a really nice circle.
Okay, Tony, same thing. What is one lesson learned you've learned in marketing a social purpose company, and then one benefit that you're seeing from your purpose?
Well, I think for me, the biggest thing is I had to learn was that I couldn't be afraid to talk about myself. I think I grew up feeling like if you do good, you don't talk about it because that ruins it. And it took me a while to really get past this idea. We'd been living, doing a lot of things and recycling and doing all kinds of things for years, but I was reluctant to actually brag about it. And I think that's just not how it works. You have to brag about it. You have to talk about it, joining different groups and be okay with the marketing. We have some good marketing people here that have really taught me that lesson. So that's my first one. And I think, what was the second question?
Business benefits, like how has your business grown from having a purpose?
Well, yeah, we continue to expand. We're actually opening in different cities as we move across Canada through our relationships and our partnerships. Our clients are insurance companies. We've also learned they're consultants, and how you get in, you never know what's going to happen. We recently had through the Zero Waste Council, we had somebody approach us to help design a course at a university. And it turned out the company that was wanting the course designed was actually an insurance company. And so they were able to come back and say, well, right under your nose is this company already doing it. And they're actually the ones that are helping us build the program. So you never know what's going to happen. And so living that through and just being that will help you through it.
Okay, so I'm just going to try to sum up some of the lessons learned then. Invest in your marketing teams to understand this transition, because they might have been classically trained or have classic experience. So there's something that they need to learn about this new approach. Have them watch this video when it comes available to you, which it will, and invest your purpose in your product, and your marketing then would amplify the action and the impact of your product and services. And don't pursue the path of purpose hushing. A term that's being given to those who are sort of shy about talking about their successes and achievements, and even their challenges, if you will. So stay away, avoid purpose hushing, new term. And then business benefits. It builds stronger relationships with stakeholders and attracts them to your organization, wherein they can help you achieve your purpose. It attracts members and customers and creates a virtuous circle. The more members and customers you have, the more you can grow and do more and attract more members. And it helps you in business growth and expansion and attraction of partners. So if you haven't heard a business case for social purpose before, you have here. And the reason that these three companies and more are really doubling down on their social purpose investments through marketing. I'm going to open it up to questions now. And I haven't had a chance to scan them yet, but yes. Okay, so Cherise Johnson, is there a role for partnerships in social purpose marketing? They've given an example, but yeah, so beyond the big giant check photo op, right? We have money, we give as a donation, we get a photo op. Is there a role for partnerships in social purpose marketing? Now, Tony, you've had a lot to say about that, but I'm just wondering if Gurpreet or Peter might want to supplement what Tony has said around that.
Want to go ahead, Gurpreet?
Yeah, sure. I would say absolutely. I think partnerships are a key part of building a network to try and make change happen. And so I would definitely say, especially, well, it doesn't even matter what size of organization you are. I think the more we partner with others, the more impact that we can have. And I think that, yeah, that's a great way forward. And I agree that the big check moments maybe have their place, but actually you can make more impactful change by having more meaningful partnerships that support each other in both what we're trying to achieve as an organization, and maybe you've given the example of the housing developments, but to maybe support the community in driving things forward as well.
Peter?
Yeah, and I would say, we've talked about the fact that you can't achieve your social purpose on your own, so therefore you can't achieve your marketing on your own. So partnerships are critical to achieving the social purpose, and they're critical to achieving the marketing and objectives that you have, and it gives you third-party credibility. So, you know, that doesn't mean that you just willy-nilly choose partners all over the place and hope that something sticks. You obviously need to be a bit strategic about some of the partnerships, and you need to know your partners well and make sure that you align also in terms of values and outcomes, because there can sometimes be a mismatch with your respective expectations. So good fences make good neighbors. I know I'm like Mr. Metaphor today, but you know, they do make good neighbors, and it's really important to establish those guidelines and those outcomes that you're seeking and clear objectives going into those partnerships. And sometimes you have to level the playing field with some of your partners as well, where you might have more resources or more knowledge, and you need to the best degree possible, ensure that you're both equals in doing that work.
To which I would add, not just partnerships, but collaborations. So not one-on-one arrangements, but multi-stakeholder collaboration. So it's just another way of thinking about partnerships. And sometimes you'll need a collaboration with many stakeholders at the table to help you advance on your social purpose. So to broaden the perspective from partnerships to collaborations. And then the other point to be cognizant of is they then can become, and even your customers can be the ones that amplify your message. You know, if they see you doing something, or there's a case study of you or whatnot, they're the ones that could share it and become basically an extension of your marketing team, just sort of another way of thinking of how it goes. So now we have a lot of questions, so this is going to be more difficult for me. Here's one from a student who is feeling that we could skip their question, but I think there's something in it that is, I want to tease out. How can you find a business with a sincere social purpose? How would you find a business? So, you know, website, or where are you looking? Like, what are the indicators? Because if we reverse engineer that, those are the things you need to have in your marketing. So how would you find a business with a committed to a sincere social purpose?
Well, there's a variety of, you know, answers to this. I mean, one of them starts with how comprehensive is their discussion of the purpose in different parts of their website, or in different interactions or experiences that you can find with them. And then, you know, we live in an age where everybody is a critic and has an opinion. And so just Googling the name of the company and purpose and reputation is going to bring you up a bunch of comments. Now, you can't believe everything that you read, but it's going to give you a fairly good sense of how that organization is stacking up. And, you know, there are also, you know, looking at, are they members of organizations that, like Sustainable Brands and others, that are in this marketing space that are trying to help fuel purpose companies? Those are three things that come top of mind to me.
Anybody else?
Yeah, right off the bat, I think that there's something that I agree with the website. Check them out on social media. What you're looking for very specifically is actions. Get used to the words that people use to change that. And I always like it. We stand with. That doesn't mean anything. It means you're not doing anything. And so while it's important to say, what is it exactly you're doing to stand with them? How are you supporting them? What actions are you doing? And I'd say that's how you source that out, right? I'm not saying that everybody doesn't do anything, but if all they say is very broad statements, and again, social media, are they actually doing and showing what they're doing? And I go back to that, you're talking about it. We may not love social media, but all we're looking for is actions, not just statements. And any company who's actually doing this has actual actions. And if you can't find any, then I wouldn't trust that.
Okay, we'll leave it at that so I can get another question under our belt here. I'm going to Brett Sergener's question from Novak, Social Purpose Company. Is there a specific marketing channel that you find has the greatest impact for your organization when it comes to purpose-driven content? Or perhaps where you focus the most when it comes to marketing spend?
Sorry, can you just restate the whole question one more time?
We're talking about marketing channels that have the greatest impact for your organization for purpose-driven content, or where you focus when it comes to marketing spend. So what are the channels, the marketing channels to amplify your social purpose?
Well, I would say you can't, it really depends also on the sector that you're in, right? I mean, we still need to use broadcast media, television, other radio, other sources like that to get the reach that we need and to get the frequency that we need. But if you want to get into some of the nuance and you want to connect with certain niche audiences, then really that's where social and digital tools come into the equation. So, there is no secret formula that you can say, this is what works. It's really contextual. It depends on your business, depends on its maturity, depends on your sector. But that, from my perspective, you need to have good measures and see how your message is resonating and adjust accordingly.
I would agree with that. I would say understand your audience and who you're trying to attract or speak to, and understand where they want to interact with you. And so if they're largely wanting to have a certain type of conversation through social, obviously ensuring your content is relevant for that channel. And then if they're also, opting into receiving things around like offers you might be having, and they may have a different way to want to receive that through email or things like that. So I would really look at it from an integrated approach, but also understanding how they want to interact with you and building your plan from there.
Awesome. Lots of good ideas here. Hopefully it helped some of you get a few of your questions answered. We're moving into the final inning. Very briefly, panelists, 30 seconds. Let's see who wins this 30 seconds competition. What is your final piece of advice on marketing in a social purpose company? I'm going to go with you, Tony.
I would say that let the purpose change you and change your company. And that a really great byproduct of this is that you realize that there is hope. And at the core of this is people trying to make the world a better place and to try to change the world. And if you can grasp that, that's going to change your world and it'll allow you to change your company. But it gives you hope that the world can still be good and can get better all the time. And so just ride that wave and get involved in it. It's awesome.
Okay, so he won for his point, but he lost for keeping it under 30 seconds. Okay, over to you, Gurpreet.
I'd say achieving social purpose is a whole organization effort. And really your marketing is spotlighting what you're doing. So making sure that you're not embellishing or making things up, but rather focusing on what you are doing in a really authentic way through the channels at your disposal.
Okay, Peter.
Transparency, consistency, executive board and employee support are critical, and don't look for perfection.
Well, we've got it all here, folks. Thank you, panelists, for sharing your purpose marketing stories. Big jazz hands there to all of you. It was amazing to learn that marketing itself can be a force for good, not just simply selling products, but creating social benefits from the marketing process. And just a couple things to let people know about as we wrap up. In 2 weeks, November 14 to 18, the United Way is hosting the 2nd annual Purpose in Business Week to promote and celebrate social purpose in Canada. Ashley's going to drop a link to that in the chat, so please grab that and shout out your joyful story about social purpose during that week using the hashtag Purpose in Business Week. And also sign up for the social purpose newsletter to hear news about social purpose in business. That's going to be dropped into the chat as well, the newsletter. Please sign up for it. That's how you will be able to hear about these kinds of events going forward and all kinds of purpose news across Canada. Finally, good luck to you on your purpose journey as we change the course of business for good and change the role of marketing in the world. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you on the purpose trail.